as we get you the US advisory that seems to have now been expanded to other nations in the Gulf. Let's put out because US advisory is now coming in from the American citizens, the American nationals, to either depart now or they say that take shelter, take cover as soon as possible, because these are civilian areas that we are looking at. And the latest strike that has now happened of a apparent drone strike that has been reported in Riyadh, which is in Saudi Arabia at the US embassy. So the security updates for Americans in the Middle East, and it has been updated, which says depart now via commercial means due to serious safety risk. And this has now been expanded to other nations in the Gulf. The countries include Bahrain, Egypt, Iran, Iraq, Israel, the West Bank and Gaza, Jordan, Kuwait, Lebanon, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Syria, United Arab Emirates and Yemen. Multiple countries have already been hit as far as the military posts and the military base of the US is concerned. But not just that, the fight and this escalation has now moved on to the US embassies as well in the civilian areas that we are looking at, in particular, multiple countries there. And the recent one being in Riyadh, which is now been reported, and President Trump already has now given a warning saying that there would be retaliation. You will come to know of it. In the meantime, Indian embassy, meanwhile, has also issued advisories, and this has been continuous. The Indian government and part of the MEA, which has been monitoring the situation, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also spoken to several heads of states in the Gulf nations where India has expressed concern, and in particular had also batted for dialogue and diplomacy, but also the growing concern of over 90 lakh Indian citizens that actually reside in these Gulf nations. So this is the Embassy of India in Doha saying that in the view of prevailing security situation, all Indian nationals residing in Qatar are now requested to note that regular consular services of the Embassy of India, Doha, will remain closed on the 3rd of March. However, the embassy officials will be available for emergency services related to consular passport, visa attestation, and also labor issues as well. So it is shut today. Rishabh, you know, there are several details on part of Indian advisory as well. That has also been going around because there is a significant number of Indian residents in that area, not just the residents, also amounting to Indian travelers who are still stranded.
Well, definitely. See, one thing is very clear. There are Indians, and when we talk about this region, there are 8 million, or for that matter, more than 8 million Indian nationals who are there. 2.4 to 2.5 million are only in Saudi Arabia. A similar number of, for that matter, more than that is in UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, Oman. All these countries have sizable Indian, Indian expats there. Indian nationals are there in good numbers, and Embassy of Qatar has been shut today, but they are available for the emergency services. And one thing is very clear, that whoever we are talking to in the government of India, they say that our embassies are working round the clock. Physically it might be closed for security reasons, but the embassy officials are available on phone, mails and WhatsApps as well, and they are there to help anyone who requires an assistance. This is something that we have been told. We have spoken to embassy officials in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, in Muscat as well, and they say that they are continuously getting calls, and they are trying to ensure that whoever needs assistance is provided proper assistance at this earliest possible time.
All right. Well, that has been the situation there that we are looking at, because India too has been monitoring the situation. Prime Minister Modi has also spoken to several leaders there, the heads of state there. And this seems to be the concern that India has been raising, especially when it comes to the Indian residents there. So in the meantime, when we talk about the escalation, and that seems to be growing by the day in the Middle East, the Indian government seems to be keeping a close watch on the situation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has reiterated India's stand that India bats for world peace. And over the last 48 hours, the situation that has now spiraled, Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to the leaders of Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, UAE, and he also spoke to his counterpart, Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel. However, Prime Minister Modi has urged all sides to take the route of dialogue and diplomacy, and has now called for the cessation of hostilities, asking for a de-escalation in the Middle East, especially in the Gulf nations where several Indians currently reside. And this is what he said during a joint statement that was issued between India and Canada, that India's stand has forever remained the same. whether it comes to conflict that has been growing in the Middle East, when it comes to Russia-Ukraine war as well, India continues to bat for peace.
पश्चिम एशिया की वर्तमान स्थिति हमारे लिए गहरी चिंता का विषय है। भारत डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी के माध्यम से सभी विवादों का समाधान का समर्थन करता है। इस क्षेत्र में मौजूद सभी भारतीय नागरिकों की सुरक्षा के लिए हम सभी देशों के साथ मिलकर काम करते रहेंगे।